Hi ladies, so I want to talk with you guys now about self-care and specifically how to prioritize self-care, especially if you're a business owner. So admittedly, self-care when I first started my business was at the bottom of my priority list, and maybe you resonate with this. And I get it, when you are really excited about getting your business off the ground and you are just wanting to get things moving sooner rather than later and you've got a lot of stuff to do, taking care of yourself and making you a priority is often not the priority, right? So let me just tell you a little bit of a story here, and it kind of reiterates why self-care is so important. Now, this was, when did this happen? This was when I was in Mykonos. So I was pregnant at the time. So at the time of recording this, it would have been, over a year ago now, because my daughter at the time of recording this, she is just turned 1. So I was out in Mykonos, and it was a week that I had dedicated completely to me, to my own self-care, looking after myself. I was about 7 months pregnant at the time. It was my baby moon. And what I'd really sort of noticed over the past sort of few months was a bit of a dip in business where things hadn't been going well, they hadn't been growing basically. So wasn't that things had got worse, but just things weren't growing in the way that I wanted them to. And because I was pregnant, I was kept thinking, well, I need to get all of my ducks in a row before the baby arrives. So I was very much an active pregnant lady. So I was actually working probably more than what I would have normally worked, because I thought, well, when the baby arrives, there's certain things that I'm not going to be able to do. I want to be able to take some time off. So I was really giving a lot of energy to my business, and I perhaps wasn't necessarily giving myself the self-care and attention that I needed, especially given the fact that I was pregnant. And so as it edged closer to my 3rd trimester, I realized that, wow, actually, I really do need to slow down a little bit. For anybody that's been pregnant before, like 2nd trimester, it actually felt like I could take on the world. 1st trimester was a completely different story. Sickness, tiredness, it was just awful. But 2nd trimester, I was like, I am Beyonce. I felt like I could literally achieve anything. And it was amazing. And I did a lot of stuff. I got a lot of things done within my business. I was really enthusiastic. There was a lot of new projects that I was working on. And then as it edged to my 3rd trimester, that's when the tiredness started to kick in. So my partner and I, we booked we actually ended up going on 2 baby moons, one to Mykonos and one to Mauritius. The story I want to tell you about today, though, was specifically in relation to Mykonos, because this was the moment when I was like, right, self-care is going to be the priority. So we went away for a week, and I completely dedicated, as I said, myself to self-care. So it was lots of relaxing, just basically lying on a sun lounger, reading a lot of books. It was getting things like massages, eating amazing stuff, doing a lot of mindset work. So I was meditating a lot, doing lots of, gentle yoga. I really just allowed myself to indulge in me. Now, fortunately for me, at the time, and I still do, I have a lot of support in my business. So I had a team that was basically kind of running everything whilst I was away. And what was really interesting was that week was the best out of the whole year. That was actually the best week that we did in business. So I can't remember the exact figures off the top of my head, but it was over £50,000 we did in just 1 week. Okay, so that was the best week. I think it ended up being the best month in business as well, if I remember rightly, but it was definitely the best week anyway. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because when I sort of look back over the course of that year, the times when I dedicated myself to my own self-care the most, that's actually when my business thrived. And sometimes we think the opposite, right? We think that if I take my foot off the pedal, my business is going to start to suffer. I'm going to start to struggle. And it absolutely is not the case, because remember that action alone is not going to get you to where you want to be. Yes, you've got to be taking action, but you've also got to be embodying the energy, becoming that vibrational match to your desires. So if you're working, hustling, often what you're doing is pushing your desires and your goals as a business owner further away from you. So this was a really interesting revelation for me, that this week where I dedicated myself to self-care, my business really thrived. Now, what are some of the things you can do to prioritize self-care more in your life? Because obviously we can't just jet off to Mykonos, as nice as that would be, every few weeks. You know, there's things we've got to be able to integrate easily into our day-to-day life. So let me just share with you some of my priorities then. And I think the first thing is having a morning ritual in place, so that the first thing that you do as you start your day is dedicated to you and your own self-care. So this is probably going to be saved for another video, but just very briefly, my morning ritual looks like meditating, journaling, affirmations, exercise, but it will be sort of short exercise, so I tend to just do some sun salutations, consuming something that inspires me, so that might be reading a book or listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video, journaling, and what's the other one? Celery juice. Celery juice is something I started last year, and it's really revolutionized how I feel. Not the nicest thing in the world, you definitely get used to it, but it's definitely changed my energy and just really changed a lot of things about my body, my skin being one of them. I got really bad acne when I was pregnant, and it was through celery juicing that I think really sort of helped me manage that. So yeah, I have this really empowering morning routine. So before I do anything, before I give myself to other commitments, you know, my family or my business or clients, I make sure I have some time for me. And what you will find is how your day goes is all dependent on how your day starts. So the beginning of your day sets the tone for the rest of your day. So if you start your day giving yourself self-care, giving yourself attention and the energy that you need, you'll find that you're able to come into your work in a much more powerful way. So that would be my first thing. My second thing would be that self-care has to be made a priority, in that you need to schedule it in as you would a business meeting. So either you're doing that morning routine, or you've got other times throughout your day where you've got scheduled time for you and your own self-care. Now, self-care is going to look different depending on what you need. So it might be self-care is meditating. It might be self-care is going and just doing something fun that you really love. It might be going and getting a mani-pedi. You know, there's very different ways, a lot of different ways we can practice self-care, but it's important that you make that a priority for yourself. Now, the third thing, and I think this is really, really important, it is about understanding the importance of boundaries. Now, I'm going to make this message specifically for anybody that is in a service-based business who works with clients, because starting out as a coach, I really struggled to put adequate boundaries in my business, mainly because I wanted to give the best experience I could to my clients, and I wanted to be available for them. I wanted to be able to support them in the best way that I could. And so I basically gave my clients unlimited access to me. So if you do this, if you open yourself up to somebody being able to contact you whenever they want and being responsible for somebody, you know, 24/7, you've not got adequate boundaries in place, and then it becomes very difficult to integrate self-care into your life, because you know you can hardly switch off in your business. If you know somebody can contact you whenever, you can hardly switch off. So put those adequate boundaries in place. But outside of a business capacity, it might be that you need to put more boundaries in place with your other relationships. So it might be, you know, allowing yourself to say no to things that don't necessarily serve you now. So maybe it's, you know, social events, maybe it's kind of going out, you know, with friends for dinner. Now that can form a part of self-care, allowing yourself to, you know, go out, enjoy yourself with friends. But sometimes we say yes to things from a sense of obligation, rather than thinking, oh, this is something that I really need for myself right now. So maybe it is, let's say, an invite to dinner with a friend. Like, is that something that is going to add to your sense of self-care, or is that actually taking you away from something that you need more right now? So maybe for you, self-care right now means staying in, having a quiet night, relaxing, you know, taking that time just for you. But it's important to understand those boundaries and allow yourself to say no. Now, on a final note, what you will find is that, going back to my story I shared earlier, your self-care is going to affect your vibration, and your vibration is going to dictate what shows up in your life. So you will find, through honoring yourself and your own needs, you're going to find yourself easier, it's going to become easier to receive in other areas of your life and business. So let's think about business successes. Often, we want to receive money, or we want to receive clients. In order to be in the receptive mode to receive those things, we have to be in the receptive mode in other areas of our lives as well. Self-care being one of those areas. So when you allow yourself to receive self-care and give yourself that time, it will have a knock-on effect in your business as well. So I would love to know, let me know in the comments, what do you do to prioritize self-care in your business? How has it made an impact on your business? Or if you're not a business owner, like, what are you doing right now to sort of honor your own needs and your own energy? Let me know in the comments. All right, ladies, well, I will speak with you again very soon. Thank you for listening. Lots of love.